Now, riddle me this. Tell me this, right? There are individuals out here who literally say their whole life has been a total ruin just because of one experience they had, from the day they were a child all the way up to when they were like 20 in a particular household, when it was like dealing with a fallen angel, mother, father, uncle, auntie, and then they'll literally say their whole existence is bad, and they say like the whole existence outside that household is on that type of timing, just because that's what happened in their household, right? And that's not really good to like judge the whole world based on terrible experience with people in a household. You see what I'm saying? Like people like that who will give some pity party excuse saying like, man, my life was in ruins because, I had dealt with some demonic people in the household. Just because it might have been demonic people in that household does not mean that if you go to a Baskin Robbins or go to a Costco's or go to somewhere like a community in a gated community where there's a bunch of soulful vibrational people means they're going to operate just like that demonic uncle, demonic auntie, demonic mother and father, or whatever demonic people in that household that you grew up in. You see what I'm saying? Because let me tell you this, like people who say like their whole life has been terrible and bad based on bad experiences they had in their household and outside of that household, when they go to a school or go anywhere else, like it's like all good, right? It's more brighter, more vibrant, right? These people who say like they had their life was all terrible based on terrible experiences they had at a household with some evil aunties, uncles, mothers, and fathers, like they'll compare that. They will compare that to having a whole multiverse being wiped out and erased by demon lords and cruel gods of destruction, gods of obliteration that wipe out a whole multiverse. You see what I'm saying? Like you got people out there that compare to shit like that. Like me, I would never compare. Like if I was in a hypothetical situation and I had the nerve to say, oh, my life was bad because, I was dealing with evil people in a household. And then I compare that to a person who had to live through 5 centuries of living in a void because their whole multiverse got erased by demon lords and gods of destruction and gods of obliteration that look down on mortals. That's a way worse existence. Imagine waking up, right? Imagine you wake up one day and these demon lords and gods of destruction and gods of obliteration that look down on mortals, and they just choose to erase a whole multiverse that you call your home. You call this multiverse your home, and these demon lords and gods of destruction just erase it in the blink of an eye, and you're the only one existing, and you've been training for 5 centuries to get your revenge on gods of destruction, gods of obliteration, and demon lords that erase your multiverse. That's way worse than, having like a bad experience with, a demonic auntie, uncle, mother, father at the household that was not good to you, right? Because outside of households, a lot of things don't really be as bad as it seems, because like when it's all about the people you're around. You see what I'm saying? So like that whole analogy I gave about, stuff that's really terrible compared to some shit that's considered child's play. Like you would never hear me ever say, oh, my life was bad because I was dealing with demonic people in the household, ever since I was a child all the way up to 20 years of age. Like that's not something I would do, but you got a lot of people out here who would do some shit like that. They'll say like their life was bad because they had demonic aunties, uncles, mothers, fathers that treated them like trash in a household. But when they leave that household and go to a school or go anywhere outside the household, it's all good and they get a lot of love, man. So a whole multiverse being wiped out and erased and you're the only one existing in that multiverse, and then you got to go find a way to move to another multiverse throughout your whole 5 centuries. Like, that's way worse. That's way worse than, dealing with some demonic people that grew up in a household with you. Because, like, imagine this, right? If I had to, if my whole multiverse got erased, the multiverse I'm living on got erased right now, and I gotta train for 5 centuries to avenge my erased multiverse by killing the demon lords and gods of destruction and gods of obliteration that erased the multiverse that I called my home. And then I gotta go find my way to use some cosmic powers, cosmic omnipotent angelic powers, to go find another multiverse that exists so I can find another home. That's way worse than someone talking about, I had it hard because, it was like some demonic, mothers and fathers and demonic uncles and aunties in the household. You see what I'm saying? So, like, my point is this: like, them people who be using some child's play, burdens, like, dealing with demonic people in a household from their childhood all the way up to when they were 20, and they compare that to, like, having a whole multiverse being erased. That is asinine. That is crazy to me. You see?